guys, welcome back to the People in Progress podcast, where we talk all things self-improvement, lifestyle, and how to live your best life. I'm Elsa, I'm your host, and today's episode is all about the key to achieving your goals, and moreover, the key to living your dream life, and that is gamification. Basically, your goals are a game, life is a game, so let's talk about how you can set up the game and how you can win. If this sounds all a bit far-fetched, just stay and listen. I'm going to explain it all, and it's actually really simple, and it is the key to achieving your goals. And now I am going to skip the segments for this week's episode because I'm just so excited about the topic and I want to get into it. I will just say, for quick updates, it is so cold here in Ottawa. It's finally started to get properly cold. We've had some light snow. In fact, after this, I'm about to go on my hot girl walk and I can literally see snow outside. I'm terrified. I think it's finally time to remove all the pumpkins from the house. I have put up the Christmas tree. Yeah, I will just say, as a quick little top of the episode life update, if I sound a bit weird, as I've mentioned for so many episodes, I am pretty ill. I don't know what it is. Maybe some long cold thing. I have no idea. But now I have an ear infection, which is why I've put off recording for a little bit, because I can't hear very well, and that's why it's weird when I speak. So if I'm talking weirdly or anything, I apologize so much. And if you're watching on video, it's cozy vibes still, as the past couple episodes have been, because it is daylight savings, or we've passed daylight savings now, and it gets dark much earlier, and I'm just getting used to the new schedule. And yeah, the sun is starting to set, and like I said, it's sort of snowing outside, so that's why the lighting is a little bit odd. But this episode is perfect because there are 8 weeks left to the end of 2023 right now. And creating a game or a challenge for yourself is the perfect way to achieve your goals before the end of the year. If you have any left over or any that are looming over you, or you really want to get it done. And then as well, I am going to refer back to this episode a lot if you are watching in 2024. I'm going to be talking about this a ton near New Year's, and I might even do a mini-sode, a short version of this, but this is the long, in-depth, super detailed version with all the hacks, all the tricks, and explaining everything. Whether you're trying to complete your goals by the end of 2023, whether you're setting up your goals for 2024, or whether you're just learning about goal setting, let's get into it. So what is gamification? It is basically about applying features of games like challenges, rewards, and feedback in a non-game setting. So in this case, we're talking about personal goal setting. It makes tasks and goals so much more fun and engaging, and makes you, therefore, more likely to achieve them. Gamification is going to give you a feeling of constant dopamine and winning to make you achieve your goals. And this is the key to finally achieving your hard-to-get goals. So my quick credentials in this: I first of all studied sociology at university, and in my final year, my dissertation and just in general, a lot of my final year was focused on studying video games and how people interact with them and their impact on society. So like I said, I did some modules on that. A lot of my essays were about that and social media and games and everything like that. And then my dissertation was on video games, particularly The Sims 4. I'm sure I've chatted about it before on my channel. It was super interesting. And then, like I do with all my episodes, this is well researched, I promise. And I have left some really interesting and relevant links that I used to research this down in the comments if you want to read more about it. But yeah, let's get into the contents. So first of all, how did I start using this? How did I come across gamification for goal setting? So I had studied video games for quite a long time and how people interacted with them and why people used video games, and I got really into the features of video games and why people like rewards and stuff like that. But it was really summer 2023, so this is after I graduated from university, when I started doing something that I called monthly challenges. This is because I had fallen out of love with habit tracking, which I'd been doing for 4 years, which is a key component that lots of people use in planning and bullet journaling. I basically wasn't motivated to do it and I wasn't keeping up with it. So that's when I decided I didn't want to track anymore. I wanted a challenge. So I changed my individual monthly habit trackers into a table with little squares I could color in for each habit and a square for every day. And the challenge was to basically fill as many squares as I could. So that is how I started. But how do you set gamified goals? So like I said, discovering this changed the way I set goals after I started doing my monthly challenges, and I do this for pretty much every goal at the beginning of the year, but just within months, sometimes I have goals that are one-off or are more ambiguous. But there are some tips you can use to make this technique work for every single goal. And like I said, when I do my yearly goals and if I do like mid-year resets, I make sure to do all of this because it is the key to achieving your goals. So here are some of the things you can do and then the psychology behind it. So first of all, you can set numerical goals. Like I said, not every goal is numerical, so this is just a type of goal you could start including more of. It's just another way to talk about the goals you're already setting. So for example, I'm sure growing up we all heard about SMART goals and how goals should be measurable. And this is kind of just like a more fun and I guess more accessible way to do that and like a new way to think about it. So what you want to do is just set a number to the goal you're already talking about. So I have some examples. So these examples are taken from my own goal setting and things I've done that really work. So for example, if you want to drink more water, don't just say I want to drink more water, say I want to drink 2 liters of water a day. If you want to post more on TikTok, say I want to post 30 TikToks this month. If you want to start an Etsy store, say I want to post 10 listings on Etsy. And if you want to read more, don't say that, say you want to read 30 books this year. And then the next step, the key to making these gamified and not just measurable, is to track these numbers. So let's get into the psychology of checklists and ticking things off a list. Because if you are not achieving your goals, then it can have a negative impact on your motivation. It feels like it's too far away and you don't feel inspired to work on it. But conversely, completing tasks towards our goal can positively impact our motivation. This works because completing tasks makes our brain release dopamine and we want to release more of it. So therefore, when we are positively motivated to do something, we want to repeat the task and get that reward from our brains again. So basically what you need to do to achieve this is to create an experience bar. This is a common thing in video games and games in general. It is basically measuring progress and it is visualizing how far we've come and how far we have to go. This is also very similar to other things like what is commonly referred to in the planning community as a habit tracker, and it's basically a glorified checklist. Depending on what I'm measuring, what goal I'm working towards, I've done this on a poster, I've done this on Notion, I've done this on just pieces of paper or in my bullet journal, but just pick whatever works best for you or try out a couple different methods. Tracking behavior can increase the likelihood that habits will become more established. For example, one of the ways it does this is through creating a streak. And now I'm sure we all know what streaks are. The really famous way this was done was through Snapchat, and it's because seeing that number grow and not wanting to break the streak is addictive. But we can use this in a positive way for ourselves in the same way that social media has utilized this to capture our attention. Because streaks are created to make you feel like you're building momentum, and it encourages us to keep going. So basically what you're going to do is create some kind of checklist or some kind of bar that you color in or you tick off as you complete little habits that work towards your goal. So with these numerical things, like we're saying, if it's posting 30 TikToks, every time you post a TikTok, you tick it off until you reach 30, and then you can see yourself going forward and achieving your goal. And how can you make these checklists a little bit more fun? Like I said, find a platform that works for you, whether that's online. There's tons of different apps. In fact, I've written down some here that looked really good from Google. One is called Streaks and one is called Habitica. Like I said, I usually do this on paper, so you definitely don't need anything, but have a play around and find what works for you. You can also give yourself rewards, which we are going to get into in a second. And then you can also use colors. So obviously making it visually appealing makes you want to fill it out and look at it more. But also I'm doing, I'll get into this later as well, I'm doing NaNoWriMo at the minute, which is a writing challenge. And I basically have to write 50,000 words. And so every 10,000 words, I change the color of like the boxes I'm filling in, and the colors kind of get, I guess, like brighter and better as I go. So I've just hit my first 10,000 and I'm so excited because I get to change to a different color. And then, like I said, actually filling in a box, making it pretty, rather than just ticking it off, I think makes it more visually appealing and fun. So we spoke about making goals numerical, but what if your goals can't be counted? What you want to do is create smaller goals within those goals, which I'm going to call actions. So if you haven't already, you need to be clear about your main goals and define them and write them down. But these big goals can seem pretty intimidating and pretty far away, like I mentioned earlier. So what you're going to do is break these down to make them more friendly and accessible. So how do you create actions? You basically want to ask yourself, what are the steps I need to take to achieve this goal? And what are some tasks that will help me achieve this goal? So they might not be directly impacting the outcome, but for example, cleaning your office might make you more productive, something that is adjacent to the goal. So this list becomes your action. And I do this for every single goal, and I'll get into how I do that in a second. So like I said, this is really important because you have a larger chance of completing these smaller goals, because when you look at them, they feel much more achievable and they might feel like a smaller task that you could do quickly and you're more motivated to do it. But although these are small tasks, they're really important steps to achieving your bigger goals. And now talking about how I do it, and also talking about gamification. So I saw someone refer to this as main quests and side quests. So if you've ever played a video game, often there are mini games or side quests that help you build up to the main quest or the final boss, the final battle, or the main goal and achievement of the game. So these side quests, these mini games to achieve your main goal, is what your actions you've just created are. I'm going to show you 3 ways to do this. One that is really simple, one that's a little bit more complex, and then the way I'm doing it, which sounds much more complicated than actually is. So way number 1 to do this is sit down with your goal, figure out the actions like we spoke about previously, and then just below that goal, write the actions and check them off once you achieve those actions. Really simple, just like a to-do list under your goal. Way number 2 is to do a Kanban board, which is basically where you make 3 sections, and you can do this online or with sticky notes, and do this for each goal. And what you should do is have a to-do, an in progress, and a completed sort of section. So like I said, 3 sections. And when you create your actions, put them in the to-do. When you start them, put them in the in progress. And when you complete them, put them in the completed section. And that way you'll see in a really detailed way how you're doing with that goal. Here is a slightly more complicated way that I'm doing on Notion. It is like the last way where I make a Kanban board with the to-do, in progress, and completed, but then I'm also gamifying it even more by giving myself points in a kind of way. So basically, if an action is in the to-do, I have 0 points. If it's in the in progress, I have 0.5 points. And if it is in the completed box, I have 1 point for that action. And then what I do, which is why it sounds so much more complicated than it is I get the total sort of amount of points I have for that goal, and I divide it by the amount of actions. And that is how I figure out my progress for the goal, because then I get a percentage of how much I have done. So I'm really gamifying it there, and that also ties back to what I was saying about tracking your goals. So it's a way to make your non-numerical goals still have a trackable element. Another thing you can do to gamify your goals and make yourself achieve your hard-to-get goals is through rewards. So much psychology research shows us that rewards are a crucial part of helping us build habits. And really, at the end of the day, the habits that make up the actions, that make up the goals, are what is going to make you achieve your goals. Also, rewards just make it fun. Your goals, like I've said, are like a game, and games are fun. They give you prizes and points, and you get happy when you're playing them, and that's how your goal should be. Rewards are not only a way to celebrate your achievements throughout your goals and at the end of your goal, they're also a way to keep you motivated, to make your brain release dopamine, and they're basically incentives to keep going. So how can you create rewards? This can be as easy as journaling. So for example, if you write down after you've completed a goal or after you're like halfway through a goal, what that is doing for you, just writing down how happy you are that you're on your way to achieving this thing you've always wanted, to recognize what these habits are doing for your life, that in itself is a reward. And it can be as simple as that, just recognizing what these habits and these actions and these goals are doing for you. For example, if you want to live in a beautiful aesthetic home, if you've just made your bed or if you've just cleaned the clothes off your bedroom floor, then you are one big step closer to living in an aesthetic, beautiful home. And that is definitely reward enough. And if you're tracking your goals, which like I've said, I cannot recommend enough, then you can reward yourself at milestones. And this is the key to how I wrote my 12,000 word dissertation in my 3rd year of university in 7 weeks, which is a whole nother story. But I wrote all those words. I got a 1st class dissertation in 7 weeks because I did this milestone tracking method. So basically just set yourself milestones along the way. Say it's 12,000 words, then every 3,000 words, which will be 4 different points, give yourself a small reward. And here are some ideas for small rewards. Some of them are paid for, so things you can buy, which is a great way to do rewards, but also you can do free rewards at home. So for example, you could bake cookies, or if there's something in your freezer like some ice cream that you've been saving for a special occasion, have that when you reach a milestone. One of the ones I did when I was writing my dissertation was I bought myself a Lush shower gel, or you could do a Lush bath bomb. Or even just do a nice self-care spa day bath at home. You could go out for coffee or go out for dinner. I know I'm going to do that with a big project I'm doing at the moment. There's a restaurant I'm dying to try, and I think I'm going to do it as a milestone reward for the project I'm working on that I'll talk about a bit later. You could watch a movie. You could buy a piece of clothing you've been eyeing up. Or you could cook your favorite meal. And yeah, just remember that you deserve these things. You've earned them. I wanted to give some examples and show you how Gamify goals work in real life in different settings to just setting your personal goals, so you get a sort of more well-rounded idea on them. So first of all, there are some apps that work really well because they're gamifying your goals, and I wanted to break that down a bit. So for example, the Forest app, I haven't used it yet. I keep talking about it in all my podcast episodes and I need to try it, but it keeps you off your phone because you have to keep this app open, and if you close it, you basically break the streak. And what you're doing is you're trying to create a streak because at the end you get a reward, so we can see how that is gamified. But I love that they work with an actual tree planting organization, and it's Forest, and so you set a timer, I think, and you have to stay on the app for that long. So you're basically putting your phone somewhere and leaving this app open, and if you complete it, you're growing a tree, so you're seeing progress, like I've said, and then they actually plant a tree, which is so fun. So that is also a way to aid your goals, but it is also a way a company has gamified goals, and it is why people love this app so much, because it is gamified, and that is the key to achieving your goals. I could say that so much. There is also lots of apps that do the Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro is a study theory technique in general, and then also lots of different workplaces and hobbies, and I'm trying to think of the word, I guess fields, use the term sprints, and that is also a way that goals are gamified. Basically what it does is, in this case, the goal is like work or a task, and you break down the task, the work, I guess, into smaller chunks because you're doing smaller time chunks. So we can see how they're creating actions there. And you also get small rewards throughout by different series of breaks, so breaks between sprints or a longer break at the end. And lastly, I wanted to talk about a project I'm taking part in and the thing that inspired today's episode, and that is NaNoWriMo. NaNoWriMo, which I mentioned a bit earlier, is National Novel Writing Month, and it is basically a challenge where you write 50,000 words in a novel in 30 days in November. So I'm taking part in it currently. I just hit the 10,000 word milestone last night, so I'm doing super well, super happy with it, and I'm gamifying it through trackers in my bullet journal, through coloured trackers like I said before, but also this challenge in general. It has thousands and thousands and thousands of participants. It is so popular, and one of the reasons people love it is because it is gamified. There are daily goals, so actions. There is a habit tracker online. Obviously people make their own habit trackers like I've done. There is an online community, and there are also badges which act as little rewards, and then obviously if you win, people kind of have this thing where they say they won NaNoWriMo, which is like a personal badge and stamp of approval, I guess. So NaNoWriMo is the perfect example of gamifying a project or a goal. Okay, but we've spoken a lot, so I have a task for you listening. It's basically going to be 3 steps you can do to complete a task, a project, or a goal that you want to do. So right now, if you're listening to the episode when it comes out, do this for the goals you still have left that you want to achieve by the end of the year. Like I said, there is plenty of apps which you're welcome to try out. I haven't personally tried any. All you need for this is a piece of paper, a planner, or like an online planner. So personally for me, that would just be like a piece of paper or a poster, my bullet journal or Notion. I mainly do it in my bullet journal. That is all you need. And so step 1, what you want to do is take the goals you already have and break them down into actions. Then take those actions and put them into some form of tracker. So this can be a daily tracker, a set of checklists, or some kind of more complicated thing like I've done. Then finally, figure out some milestones, and for each of those milestones, plan out some small rewards. we are done, but I am so excited to talk about this. This is something I'm massively passionate about, and it has changed the way I think about goals and I think about my life and how I do things, and I really hope it's been interesting and it's helped you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Thank you for being patient with me while I figure out my ear infection and being ill and everything else. I have lots of fun, exciting stuff happening in December and January with the podcast, my TikTok and my YouTube channel. And yeah, so stick around for that, and I can't wait to tell you guys more next week. I'll see you then.